Hello, my friend. Have you ever wondered why some people build lives that last, while others chase moments that disappear? Why some ideas grow stronger with time, and others fade as fast as they appear? Today, we explore something most people never truly understand: the science of long-term thinking. In a world that celebrates speed, long-term thinkers are rare. Everything around us screams, now. Fast food, fast money, fast fame. We scroll, we click, we consume, and we forget. But behind every great invention, every movement that changed the world, every life that truly mattered, there was someone who could see beyond the moment, someone who looked past today's comfort to shape tomorrow's reality. Long-term thinking is not just a mindset. It's a form of intelligence, one that connects patience, discipline, and purpose. Scientists have found that people who think long-term activate different parts of the brain, the regions that plan, predict, and imagine consequences. It's not magic, it's measurable, and it's powerful. Years ago, in a small research lab in Switzerland, a young scientist was working on something strange. His project didn't promise quick success. There were no prizes, no fame, no instant results. For 10 years, he tested, failed, adjusted, and tested again. His friends left for better jobs. His professors told him to give up. But he didn't stop. He believed that time itself was part of the experiment. That scientist was Albert Hofmann. And his years of long-term curiosity led to one of the most surprising chemical discoveries in history. Not an invention made overnight, but through patience and obsession with understanding Hofmann's story is one example among thousands. It shows that genius is not born from speed. It's born from endurance. This, my friend, is the quiet truth. Long-term thinking doesn't look exciting at first. It looks like boredom. It looks like waiting. But that waiting is where mastery grows. Modern science tells us that our brains are not naturally good at thinking far ahead. For most of human history, survival was about reacting, finding food, escaping danger, staying alive until tomorrow. Our ancestors didn't need to think about next year. They needed to think about the next hour. But now, we live in a world where survival is not the challenge. Direction is. To succeed in this world, we must train our minds to think differently, to stretch time. Neuroscientists discovered something fascinating. When we imagine our future selves, our brain treats that person almost like a stranger. That's why saving money, exercising, or learning something new feels so difficult. Our brain resists effort that doesn't pay off immediately. But when you start to connect emotionally with your future self, when you see that person clearly, everything changes. You begin to act for the long game. That's what psychologists call future empathy, the ability to care about who you will become. Look at history. Every great civilization that endured had long-term thinkers behind it. The scientists who built the first vaccines didn't see the results of their work in their lifetime. The engineers who created space technology worked for decades before humanity touched the moon. Even in art and culture, long-term vision changed everything. Leonardo da Vinci filled notebooks with unfinished drawings and unreadable handwriting. But those sketches contained ideas that inspired generations centuries later. Long-term thinkers accept that time is the most powerful tool they have. But how do you become one? It starts with one simple habit: thinking in decades, not days. When you think long-term, your actions change immediately. You speak differently, you learn differently, you choose relationships differently. You begin to see life not as a single event, but as a chain of causes and effects. You start asking deeper questions. If I keep doing this every day for 5 years, what kind of person will I become? That question alone can change your life. In 1972, psychologist Walter Mischel designed a famous study. now known as the marshmallow test. Children were placed in a room with a single marshmallow and told, if you wait for a few minutes, you'll get a second one. Some waited, some couldn't. The interesting part came years later. The children who had waited, who could delay pleasure, grew into adults who were more successful, more confident, and more emotionally balanced. Their secret wasn't talent. It was long-term thinking. But long-term thinking is not only about success, it's about peace. When you stop chasing instant results, you start living in rhythm with time. You learn to trust the process. You stop comparing your timeline to others. You begin to understand that slow progress is still progress. You realize that real growth, in love, in learning, in life, cannot be rushed. The modern world rewards quick wins, but nature rewards consistency. Every great transformation, physical, emotional, or intellectual, happens gradually, invisibly, quietly. That's why long-term thinkers appear calm when others panic. They don't need to see results today because they know what tomorrow will bring. Economists call this idea compound growth. When you invest something, not just money, but time, effort, skill, and you keep doing it, the results multiply slowly at first, then suddenly. The same is true for knowledge, the same is true for health, and the same is true for character. Think of language learning. If you study English for 1 hour today, you will not feel different tomorrow. But if you keep learning 1 hour every day for 3 years, your voice, your mind, your confidence, everything will change. That's compound growth. Long-term thinkers are not the smartest people in the room. They're the most consistent. In psychology, there's another term, the time horizon. It means the length of time you can think ahead before losing focus. For most people, the horizon is short, maybe a week, maybe a month. But the wider your horizon, the wiser your decisions. Short-term thinkers ask, what feels good right now? Long-term thinkers ask, what will still matter 10 years from now? That simple shift, from now to later, builds power, discipline, and peace. But here's the hard part. Long-term thinking often feels lonely because most people around you are moving fast. They want recognition now. They want results now. They want life to prove them right away. And when you slow down, when you start thinking differently, they might not understand. But remember this, every masterpiece looks like madness when it's half finished. The scientist who keeps testing, the artist who keeps sketching, the writer who keeps rewriting, the dreamer who keeps waiting. They all look the same from the outside, patient, silent, invisible. But inside, something powerful is forming, the mind of a long-term thinker. And this way of thinking doesn't only change your work, it changes your emotions. When you think short-term, every failure feels final. Every mistake feels painful. But when you think long-term, failures become data. Mistakes become teachers. You begin to see time not as an enemy, but as an ally. That's what scientists, inventors, and great leaders have always understood. They use time like a tool, stretching it, shaping it, respecting it. So how can you build this kind of mind? Start small. Plan 1 year ahead, not 1 week. Read books that will still matter in 10 years. Build habits that will serve you in 50. Make choices your future self will thank you for. When you live this way, something magical happens. You stop feeling lost. You stop reacting. You begin to design your life. The science of long-term thinking is not only about time, it's about meaning. It teaches us that life's greatest rewards come not from rushing, but from building, from understanding that every day, every hour, every small choice adds up to something greater than we can see. So, when the world around you moves too fast, slow down. When everyone wants results today, think of tomorrow. When others chase attention, build value. Because the truth is simple, time is always watching, and it gives its treasures only to those who respect it. That is the quiet science of long-term thinking, the art of seeing far, acting slow, and believing deeply that patience is not weakness. It is power.